Good morning. Whenever we gather in this sacred space, it is made more sacred by the presence and attention of each and every one of us. Whether we are here in the sanctuary or attending by live stream from far and near, or viewing sometime in the future, we are here together. I invite those here in person to turn to the camera and wave to our live streaming friends. Let us take a moment now to turn and greet one another.
Morning. Welcome, everyone. My name is Ivan Correa, and I will be your worship associate this morning. We are so glad that you have joined us today to join our Unitarian Universalist service. Whether you are a longtime member or visiting for the first time, you are very welcome here, just as you are. We gather in community to celebrate our shared love, our shared values of love, justice, and compassion, and more importantly, to honor the sacred within each of us. May the Spirit of life guide our reflections, connect our hearts, and deepen our sense of meaning in this time together. Thank you for being part of our circle of care and connection. I have a few announcements. I start off with two wonderful announcements to share, and both celebrate the spirit of connection and community. As you know, it's a cherished tradition for us to welcome new faces to our congregation. Today, unfortunately, things have changed around, but today we were going to welcome Mr. Hotu Mutu from the First Parish in Bedford. Unfortunately, we realized that he couldn't make it this morning, so Victoria will come up later in his place. The next announcement, building on our theme of togetherness, I'd like to invite Fritzi from the Social Action Outreach Committee to say a few words. Take it away, Fritzi.
Thank you, Ivan, and good morning, everyone. So in a few weeks, the Social Action and Outreach Committee will begin asking folks to sign up to provide Thanksgiving baskets, which will be distributed by the Woburn Council, the Council for Social Concern in Woburn. But we all know that food insecurity does not exist only at Thanksgiving. Our society collects donations throughout the year, and it is an offering that we hope many will make a regular practice. Thank you to Margot Sudbury for being our delivery person, even though she's no longer on our committee. And if it's not yet become a regular practice for you, you're in the same basket as me. I did manage to grab a can of beans on my way out the door. But next Sunday, October 26th, the committee is asking that everyone bring a non-perishable food donation. Perhaps you can post the list of suggested items that you received on your way in somewhere that will help be a reminder for you next week. If you did not get one of these on your way in, there are some extras on the chairs in the back, and they are also printed in highlights. We will be collecting the food donations as people enter the sanctuary before the service. If it's easier for you, rather than bring a canned item, To get a gift certificate to either a Stop and Shop or Market Basket, you can place it in an envelope and add that to the donation basket. Your contributions are greatly needed and appreciated. Thank you.
I think Sarah and Victoria are ready to improvise.
We are representatives from Dream Space, speaking on behalf of the great Hotumatu. He is at the doctor's office right now. I am the great Hotumatu. Sir Ivan is correct that I traveled from First Parish, Bedford Unitarian Universalist Church. I have sat in silence since October 2023, when First Parish hosted their final haunted house. The torch of terror has been passed to all of you.
You see, First Parish has blessed your church with many, many, many creepy curiosities to help make your haunted house a huge success. They have given you the tools with which to create something masterful and jaw-dropping.
Churches all fundraise, but I've heard that your church's fundraisers are not just average. Our two churches think and work alike. We do not put on just average fundraisers. We go above and beyond. This Halloween, I will be participating in Not Your Average Haunted House, and you should too. We need you to turn out for the haunted house like you did for your rummage sale.
As the old saying goes, many hands make light work, but you must sign up on the Sign Up Genius. There is a link in highlights in Friday's email, and Victoria is available after the service to help you sign up.
With less than 2 weeks until showtime, we need everyone. Regardless of your schedule, you can help out. If you have time in the 2 weeks before Halloween, we need room designers and setup help.
If you have time on Halloween, we need actors. Lying down and moaning is a whole job. Help with concessions and help with ticketing. Finally, if you have time on Sunday, November 2nd, we especially need your help with tear down and clean up.
Please sign up on the Sign Up Genius from Friday's email or see Victoria. If you have more money than time, please buy pre-sale tickets after service and give them to friends. Everyone can help and experience what an amazing community I see that you are.
You see, I can only do so much. We need many more hands. We need your help.
First Parish, Bedford believes in you, and so do I. I thank you for your time.
This was a late announcement. This is the last opportunity to get your input. After the service, there will be a focus group of members of the congregation who do not belong to a committee or missed their last committee meeting. It will be in the parlor. Again, this is, I guess, to get a focus group to get input. Oh, is that for this? Okay. Ministerial Search Committee. Do you want to say something?
No, I just want to make sure it was clear that.
Okay. All right. After the service, there will be light refreshments in the Sims room back behind the sanctuary. This is an opportunity to connect and deepen our sense of community. I now invite you to open your hearts and mind to the spirit of worship as Reverend Seth reads the invocation.
Here we are in our circle again, a circle of vision and reflection, a forum for deciding and empowering. Here we are at the base of another bridge, another space spanning the shores of today and tomorrow, beckoning us to cross the chasm one day at a time. Here we are, gathered again at the cusp of the future, at the boundary that holds community together. We are here in a circle of love and trust, brought to this moment by a series of choices and promises, by hope and gratitude, by our own shadows, faced and befriended. With a servant's heart, with the leaders listening, with a parent's love, truer than all our inner trembling, let us model the health we seek for all and lean into community. Somewhere out there, all we dream is possible. Somewhere in here, we are sowing the seeds. May these words from Sherry Woodbury guide us now into this sacred time and space. Come, let us worship together.
I'll invite Neil, Ryan, and Swati to do the chalice lighting. They will be using a Hindu prayer for Diwali.
Goddess, born from struggle between good and evil, guide us towards the light. In the world where there's plenty possible, let us end hunger, thirst, and homelessness. In your nurturing hands, let us seek refuge from want, fear, and violence. With your grace, let our world be reborn from darkness.
If you could please rise in body and spirit to sing hymn number 118 in the gray hymnal.
All right. I invite all of you who are young or young at heart to come forward for a Diwali story. Have a seat. Have a seat, my friend. Wow, good morning, everybody. Welcome. Today, we're celebrating the Hindu holiday of Diwali. Can I get someone here to help these guys? Thank you. Diwali is a holiday when Hindus all over the world celebrate the triumph of goodness over selfishness and welcome light back into the world. light and happiness into their homes and families and into the world. There are many Diwali stories, but they all focus on the idea of the power of goodness being victorious over the power of evil and the celebration of the return of light. This Diwali story begins with many years before the first Diwali happened. A man named Rama was a prince, and he had a brother, Lakshmana. Rama and Lakshmana were traveling in a foreign land. The king of that land was a little worried when he heard that Rama and Lakshmana were there. He ran to his advisor, Hanuman. Hanuman was a god and a general of the monkey army, being half monkey himself. You can see a picture of Hanuman on the screen. The monkey guy, yeah. Let me hear your best monkey sounds. Okay, that was pretty good. You'll get another chance a little later. It's said that Hanuman had superhuman strength. He could fly over mountains and leap over oceans. Because he was so powerful, Hanuman disguised himself so he wouldn't frighten the brothers, Rama and Lakshmana. He dressed as a religious person, someone who would look less threatening than a superhuman monkey god. It's kind of like the Reverend Seth over there. He's a religious person. Does he look threatening to you? No, he looks pretty nice, right? Yeah, he's okay. Yeah. However, when Hanuman got close enough to see Rama, something in Hanuman recognized the goodness of Rama. And before he knew it, Hanuman had told Rama exactly who he was, instead of pretending. He was surprised at first that he had confessed so quickly, but then, seeing what a nice person Rama was, he promised to be his friend for the rest of his life. His friendship with Rama did last throughout his life, and it's a very important part of the Diwali story I'm about to tell you. So many years after Rama and Hanuman met, Rama was married to his wife Sita, and still a prince. Soon after they married, though, Rama and Sita, along with Lakshmana, had to leave their home and live in the wilderness. Nearby lived King Ravana of Lanka. He had been hunting in the wilderness and saw Sita and decided that he wanted her for his queen, even though she was already married to Rama. Now, King Ravana was a very selfish person, so he made a plan. One day, while Rama and Lakshmana were out hunting, King Ravana kidnapped Sita and brought her to his palace. When Rama and Lakshmana returned, they were so worried about Sita. While they were trying to figure out how to rescue her, guess who appeared? Hint. Who appeared? The monkey god. What was his name? Does anybody remember? King Monkey God. Close enough. Hanuman appeared. Because he had already pledged his loyalty to Rama, Hanuman immediately got all his monkey army to help him rescue Sita from the mean King Ravana. Let me hear your best monkey sounds. Oh. Grown-ups? I don't hear the grown-ups. Grown-ups, monkey sounds? All right, thank you. That much better. Okay. The monkey warriors laid down floating rocks to cross the ocean that separated the wilderness from Lanka and saved Sita. Rama thanked Hanuman for his amazing help. It was then that Rama decided to return to his home so that he could become king. When the three returned, the people had heard they were coming and were so happy. They cleaned out their houses and made beautiful designs on the ground and lit lamps in the windows and doors and along the roads. The whole country was full of light and happiness. And Rama was the happiest of all to be home with his wife and his brother and his family. In this story of friendship and family and some pretty amazing monkeys, we can find all of the joy and happiness and love and delight that Diwali is all about. Now, I invite the grown-ups to sing the children and teachers to religious education. The words are in your order of service.
Happy Diwali. So it is not in the script, but it's the first day of Diwali start, and the celebration goes on for the week. So it's a coincidence, and it's a good timing. All over the world, they started today, the Diwali. Generally, we do either before or after. So it's very auspicious day. Diwali, also known as the Festival of Lights, is one of the most important and widely celebrated festivals in India and among Hindu communities around the world. I mean, I think it's many people celebrate Diwali even they are not Hindu. It's more like a culture and tradition to me. It symbolizes the victory of light over darkness, good over evil. The festival typically lasts 5 days and is marked by lighting of oil lamps, diyas, decorating homes, exchanging gifts and sweets, and enjoying fireworks. I grew up in Calcutta, India, eastern part of India. Every city or state has their own rituals in celebrating Diwali. One theme is unique, it is Festival of Light. In the city of Calcutta, Diwali means worshipping goddess Kali, fireworks, picnic in the evening with potluck and beverages means many things. I grew up in the middle-class suburban neighborhood. Relationship with our neighbors were strong, friendly, and Diwali evening was all about food and get-together and fireworks. It was part of the culture to walk to other neighborhoods with our friends to see their pandals. That's a very unique thing in Calcutta, which are the temporary artistic structure and goddess Kali inside that structure. As Diwali celebrates on a dark night and we give diya in all around the houses and the beautiful lighting in the neighborhood, we enjoy bringing our peace of Diwali to celebrate with you. Thank you.
As we enter now into our time of prayer and meditation, I invite you to get settled into your space. Maybe you close your eyes. Maybe you ground yourself by placing both feet on the floor. Maybe you take a deep breath in and out. Let us reflect now together on these words adapted from Lauren Wyeth. I invite you to notice if it feels okay to pay attention to your body for a bit, to notice a place inside of you that feels like a center. And just breathe with your attention there if you'd like. You might notice the presence of love at this center. See if it's there and breathe into it. With each in-breath, notice love at the center. And if you don't notice it there, that's okay too. But just be there in the center. And then I invite you to notice the edge of the out-breath. Noticing love at the center, or whatever is at your center, at the center of each in-breath, and then noticing the outer edge of each breath as you release. You might bring your attention to your own edges, finding a boundary that marks the edge of you. Perhaps it's your skin. Maybe it's a bubble of energy surrounding you. Perhaps it's somewhere inside, closer to your center. Wherever you find your boundary is okay. Breathing in and noticing the center, breathing out and noticing the boundary. You can play with this practice, breathing. Noticing what happens with your center and your edges as you stay with them and give them your attention. Sometimes our boundaries want to be pulled in close for protection. Sometimes they want to be big and spacious and roomy. Both needs are real and deserve our respect. As you attend to your center and your edges now, you might use your breath to help mark the boundary that is right-sized for the moment. Take a few breaths here. And when you're ready, I invite you to come back to our shared space and notice again who is here with you. Each of us as an individual with their own center and boundaries. Each one part of this larger collection of beloved companions. All of us part of the larger whole with love at the center. We are so glad you are here. You may come forward now and light a candle if you wish. Let us kindle the light. Something like once a year on average over the course of my ministry, I field the following question from a member or friend of the congregation I serve. Well, sure, but what about Hitler? Most often, this question comes up after a worship service or workshop where we talked about what we used to call our first principle: we affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Our new statement of shared values updates that language to say, we declare that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. And so it is, old principles or new statement of values, that when we take some time to consider what it means to say that every person is inherently worthy, someone is always wondering, does that really mean everyone, even Hitler? So I'm just going to answer that question up front today, even though it may ruin my once per year batting average. Before I answer it, though, a little theological history. This is actually one of the older theological debates, at least in Western culture, because of Christianity. Most of us in Western culture are familiar with the biblical story of Adam and Eve, right? Eve bites the apple, Adam and Eve get kicked out of the Garden of Eden. As our good old friend Wikipedia reminds us, the doctrine of original sin has a rich theological history, beginning with the biblical narrative of Adam and Eve's disobedience in the Garden of Eden. In Christianity, this act of sin is seen as the origin of all sinfulness in humanity, inherited from Adam and Eve due to the fall. The doctrine was later brought into the official lexicon of the Church by the councils of Carthage and Orange. And then Protestant reformers like Martin Luther and John Calvin affirmed that it persisted even after baptism and completely destroyed freedom to do good. The Catholic Church, however, maintains that while original sin destroys freedom of will, baptism erases it and turns a man back towards God. So we could spend a whole sermon just unpacking that, right? That's a whole thing. But just noting, right, the context in which we're living in. Christianity has made the question of human worthiness a central theological question, right, in many Western cultures. But what's interesting is that most of the rest of the major world's religions do not. Judaism, which shares the story of Adam and Eve in its sacred text, interprets that story differently. The Adam and Eve story in Judaism is seen as more as a moral archetype than a source of inherited corruption, and humans are viewed as created in God's image and thus fundamentally good. In Islam, they believe that every person is born in a state of fitra, or natural purity and inclination toward God, with the Quran in chapter 17, verse 70, noting that human beings are honored creations of God. In Buddhism, there is no original sin or creator God. Instead, suffering arises from ignorance, attachment, and desire, not from a fall from grace. So, in that context, my answer to the question, even Hitler, falls in line with the majority opinion on human worthiness. Yes, even Hitler. And here's why. I believe that our worthiness as human beings is not defined by our actions. And this is what I try to teach my kids. If one of them makes a bad choice, and I know this is probably hard for you to believe, but it happens frequently. But if one of them does, and say, for example, one hits one of their siblings, I set a boundary and let them know that particular behavior is not okay. And I do this, and I have to let them know that they are okay and still good by not shaming them, which you would think would be hopefully something that has always been the case, but it actually hasn't been true. For a long time in our country, the culture of parenting involved trying to shame your kids into doing what's right. So what I don't say is things like, you are a bad kid, or there's something wrong with you, why did you hit your brother? I don't every time affirm their goodness as a person while letting them know that hurting their sibling isn't okay, but I do it sometimes. And I know that I'm not alone in this practice. Many parents these days are trying to shift out of the model of controlling their kids' behaviors with shame that many in previous generations grew up with. And so what I believe to be true for my kids, I also believe to be true for everyone. Worthiness as a human being is not defined by our actions. Yes, there are some people in the world who do some really horrific things, and we need to stop them. We need to set boundaries and say, no, that's not okay. And I generally understand people who are doing harmful things to be acting out of their own place of hurt, wounding, pain, fear, and anxiety. The old saying goes, hurt people hurt people. Quaker theologian Parker Palmer puts it a little bit more eloquently. He said, violence is what happens when people don't know what to do with their own suffering. Violence is what happens when people don't know what to do with their own suffering. We see this in the cycle of sexual abuse. Many sexual abusers were sexually abused themselves when they were younger and then recreate that trauma and pass it along to others when they haven't been able to do their own healing work. And so, yes, I believe even Hitler had inherent worthiness. I can only imagine how much trauma and pain and woundedness that man must have experienced and lived with to then externalize the way he did and cause all of the death, pain, and trauma that he caused to others. I imagine his core humanity was buried pretty deep inside, underneath all that pain and hurt. But somewhere, I do believe there was a soul inside Adolf Hitler that had worth and value. All of this is pretext to our topic for today, offering a holy no. As you may have heard me preach about if you were here on March 16th earlier this year, setting boundaries is incredibly important in our lives. It's so important, as the sermon was titled, to be able to say, no, that's not okay. In that sermon, we talked about a story that used to be lifted up as a paragon of virtue, The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. A story in which a tree is celebrated for giving her apples, then her branches, then her trunk, and more to a boy over the course of his life and hers. A story that in my childhood, at least, was read many times to me at the Unitarian Universalist congregation I grew up in, accompanied by conversations about generosity and self-sacrifice and unconditional love. I view that story now as a warning sign about being in a toxic relationship. Yes, sometimes in a healthy relationship we make sacrifices for each other, but it is not healthy to give so much of ourselves that we end up destroyed, like the tree was. When the boy came asking for her branches, the tree should have said, no, that's not okay. I need my branches and my leaves to be able to live. I love you, but I will not sacrifice myself for you. The tree should have set boundaries. What we're focusing on today, in this month where the theme is cultivating compassion, is how we set boundaries with love. In other words, how do we offer a holy no? Whether you have children or not, I imagine you can all see the difference and the different impact between saying, why did you hit your sister? What's wrong with you? You're a bad kid. And it's not okay to hit your brother. You can't do that again. Hopefully, we're all in agreement that it's not a good idea to shame kids when setting boundaries with them. My wondering then is, why is it we so often think that it's okay when setting boundaries with adult behavior to include shame of the other? This question feels particularly relevant in the current political context in our country, where the atmosphere is so polarized and there is so much real harm happening. People are being harmed, deported, fired, cut off from health insurance, and even killed. There is a tremendous need for boundary setting, for people to rise up and say, no, this is not okay. And doing that is right. Saying no is just. Saying no is vitally important. And even when the circumstances call for us to say a thunderous no with force and with the full power of the people, how we say no matters. Whether with our children, our neighbor, or in the political arena, how we show up, how we deliver the message, it makes a difference. There's a Buddhist wisdom story about a Buddhist monk and a scorpion that goes like this. There's different versions. I'll share one with you. So there were two monks walking along the river, and at a certain point they sat down to take a little rest in the shade. And as they were sitting there, one of the monks noticed that there was a scorpion walking along the riverside. And as he was watching it, it fell into the river. And he immediately hopped up, stuck his hand in the water, and grabbed the scorpion out to save it. And can you guess what happened next? The scorpion stung him. But the monk put the scorpion down right next to the riverside and then went back towards his seat. And then the scorpion fell in the river again. And the monk turned around, scooped it up, and got stung again. Put it down next to the river, and it fell in a third time. Now, I do wonder why he didn't put it farther away from the riverside in this story. Maybe because he didn't want to get stung, legitimate. But again, the third time, right, he scoops it up, gets stung, sets it on the ground. And his companion turns to him and says, Why? Why do you keep doing that for the scorpion? It keeps stinging you. And the monk says, Just because it's the scorpion's nature to sting, that does not change my nature to save. It is this kind of nature to save that I hope we can bring to our boundary setting, to our saying, no, that's not okay. We need to cultivate a nature of compassion when we say no to bad behavior. We need to cultivate a nature of compassion as we say no to harmful laws and government actions. We need to cultivate a nature of compassion even as we say no to evils being promulgated in the world. Writer Charles Eisenstein suggests one question we could ask is, what is it like to be you? He continues, even if the person you face is a misogynist or a bigot, ask, is this who they are really? Ask what confluence of circumstances, social, economic, and biographical, may have brought them here. You may still not know how to engage them, but at least you will not be on the warpath automatically. We hate what we fear, and we fear what we do not know. So let's stop making our opponents invisible behind a caricature of evil. He continues, can we create an eye of compassion inside the political vortex of hate? It's time to stop feeding hate, he says. Next time you post online, check your words to see if they smuggle in some form of hate. Dehumanization, snark, belittling, derision, some invitation to us versus them. This does not mean, he concludes, to withdraw from political conversation, but to rewrite its vocabulary. It is to speak hard truths with love. It is to offer acute political analysis that doesn't carry the implicit message of, aren't those people horrible? What Eisenstein is writing about is the holy no of our topic this morning. He is writing from a place of practicality. I am suggesting the same course of action from a place of spiritual morality. The Buddhist loving-kindness meditation makes the same ask of us that Eisenstein does. The meditation asks us to hold ourselves in loving-kindness, hold someone we love in loving-kindness, and to hold someone with whom we disagree in loving-kindness. I have wondered sometimes, though, when we practice the Buddhist loving-kindness meditation in Unitarian Universalist congregations, like we did together here last week, whether we have done enough of our own theological grounding work to understand how to implement the last part, holding someone with whom we're in conflict in loving-kindness. We believe in offering loving-kindness to those with whom we're in conflict, because of our belief in the inherent worthiness of every person. We believe in offering loving kindness even to those offering harm because we see their humanity, their pain, their suffering. We believe in offering loving kindness because we can imagine the cultural upbringing and life circumstances that might have brought a person to that place. We believe in offering loving kindness because it is in our nature to love, even as it's the scorpion's nature to sting. This is who we are. This is who we are, and to be clear, leading with love does not mean rolling over like a wounded puppy and exposing our belly to the world. Returning to the metaphor of parenting, if someone comes after your kid, most parents get mad with a fierce, protective kind of love. I was crossing the street with my sister and her kids earlier this summer, and someone almost backed up into us. It was pretty close. And you better bet my sister was mad. Well after the threat had passed and we were safely back on the sidewalk. Someone had almost hurt one of her babies, and she was pissed. Love can be gentle and kind, and love can also be fierce and strong and protective. We can say, no, that is not okay, with compassion for the person saying the thing or causing the harm. And we can say, no, that is not okay, with a fierce and protective love for those who are being harmed, both at the same time. The two are not mutually exclusive. A no that comes from compassion and protection, love and strength, that no is indeed a holy no. And so we are called in these challenging times to be willing to stand up and set boundaries about what is and is not okay more than ever. And our country needs our holy no's. It was heartening yesterday afternoon to see hundreds of people gathered out in front of the church for Winchester's No Kings protest. I saw some of you there. It was heartening to see and read about thousands of similar protests with hundreds of thousands of people participating across the country. As we continue our work of saying, no, this is not okay, to our government and its leaders, let us remember to live and lead with our shared values, which places love at the center. When we witness the suffering and harm being experienced by so many, especially those with marginalized identities, we are often inspired to a fierce, strong, protective love. When we can remind ourselves that those causing harm are human as well, and that they too have inherent worthiness and are suffering from their own fear, pain, and anxieties, it can inspire us to infuse our no's with compassion. When we bring these two aspects of love together and stand tall with love in our hearts as we fight for justice, this is what our faith and values, this is what Unitarian Universalism calls us to live into being. Setting boundaries and fighting for justice with compassion and fierce protection. A holy no indeed.
The offering is a spiritual practice, a collective affirmation of our shared values and commitment to the mission of this liberal religious congregation. This week, Share the Plate will be allocated to the Council of Social Concern, which is headquartered in Woburn. Details of this wonderful organization is in your order of service. Note on giving. Those in the sanctuary are welcome to donate in cash, by check, or electronically. You can text the number in your order of service or visit our website under the giving page. Information about how to give online and will soon be shared with live stream attendees through text on your screen. The offering will now be generously given and gratefully received. Those who wish to do so are invited to join in the unison affirmation that is in your order of service. We gather not for ourselves alone, but to use our common power to build the beloved community within and beyond these walls. We create and reaffirm this covenant this day to make justice flourish, to practice compassion amidst difference, and to embody transformative love. If you could please rise in singing hymn number 1 in your gray hymnal.
You know, I always want to say at the end of that, and also send love out into the world, not just hold it in. Friends, we say every week here that we create and reaffirm this covenant this day to make justice flourish, to practice compassion amidst difference. My hope is that after our time together this morning, that you walk out with a maybe a little bit different or a little bit of deeper understanding of what that means, to practice compassion amidst difference. And you know, it had occurred to me as I was doing this that the plural of holy no is holy nose, and the play on words. I wouldn't be sad if you walked away with that image either of a holy nose, or talked with your kids about the holy nose, whatever it takes to hold on to the message of the importance of bringing both fierceness and compassion as we set boundaries in the world today. Go and be blessed and be a blessing. Amen.
If we could please read together the words for extinguishing the chalice that are in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until the service is ended, but our life of service continues. Let's continue the conversation in the Sims room back there.